You're listening to Healthcare Now Radio. Stand by for This Just In, the latest in healthcare innovation and technology trends with your HIT advisor, Justin Barnes.
Thank you for tuning in and welcome to This Just In. I'm your host, Justin Barnes. In these half-hour segments, I'll bring you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, corporate growth, and innovation. As always, we're broadcasting from the This Just In studios on the Business Radio X network, as well as the Healthcare Now radio network. For this episode, my 155th episode, we have a very special guest, Jared Lisenby, a healthcare executive that I've worked with for many years, and also an SVP today at a company, DocuTap. Welcome to my show, my friend.
Great to be here, Justin.
And as I mentioned, Jared and I have known each other for a very long time. I've actually been wanting to have you on air, for years. Really ever since we sold the company. That was back in 2014. I wanted to get you on air. So
now tell the truth.
That is actually the truth.
But I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I do want to take a moment to brag on you, just because we're very close. I hope, we're very close friends in life. We're going to hopefully joke a lot during this show and let our personalities come out. However, I do want to be very serious from a standpoint of how much I appreciate you and what you meant to Greenway. I use Greenway as a reference as my most successful venture, and so I reference it a lot. It's just what I learned a lot being there and being executive there. But what you did as a sales and business development leader in carrying the company so often on your personal shoulders, it meant the world to me. It meant the world to our shareholders, our company. We all try to do our very best in serving our community, serving our country, building good companies, giving jobs to other people, being good employers. But without people like you, none of that other stuff matters. You got to pay your bills. You got to keep your lights on. And what you did every single day, you and your team did for our company, was just amazing. So I just want to thank you for what you brought to my life, you brought to the company, to Greenway and Greenway's success.
Wow. Thank you for that. I'm not really sure how to respond.
You don't need to.
Besides,
that's why I want you on the show.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Hey, we had a great run at Greenway, right? Mm-hmm. We always talk about the good old days and so forth.
Sure.
But the good news is the good old days are still happening.
Yeah, they really are.
I look forward to kind of sharing some of that with you today with some different things. But thank you for that intro.
You got it. And I'm excited about today's show. Because we're going to talk about urgent care. And I've actually never had this topic on my show before. So very excited to hear about the space from your perspective. And then if we can certainly get to it, I'd love to be able to tap into, your wisdom in sales and business development leadership. Because again, some people like to hear about it. Some people say, I don't want to talk about sales. But you got to sell. That's how you pay for your business. That's how you build your company. You employ people through selling and building.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody's got to pay the bills, right?
You got to keep the lights on.
Keep the lights on. So let me tell you, urgent care is the most exciting space right now, I think, in healthcare. The growth that you're seeing, it's very interesting. If you look at it, it's an $18 billion market right now. We had about a 6% growth year over year from a standpoint of the number of clinics that were created. So from a sales standpoint, that's fantastic. A lot of net new, right? And then with DocuTap, which we'll talk a little bit about, with their footprint, an 18-year-old company that has been serving only the urgent care market for all these years, it puts us in a really good position. However, from the urgent care market, when you look at it, what makes it unique is you have private equity, you have docs with a dream, right? You have hospitals involved, business owners. So it's much different than when you're calling on specialties like we were at Greenway. And we really didn't call on urgent care at Greenway because of functionality and some of the differences.
The complexities.
The complexities.
So talk a little bit about that. So I guess where did this boon come from around urgent care? I see its place in our community, but talk a little bit about that because people – they don't understand when you say urgent care, technically, what do you mean?
Right.
What space in healthcare does that take up? And how is it shifting or growing, I guess?
Right. Well, it means basically the ability to get in some degree, on-demand healthcare, which we will reference a few times. But
so these doc in a box type of things, on every corner you see physician. You see different products and companies. A little logo on a building, and this is like urgent care center.
That's it. So you're seeing them pop up everywhere right now.
Yep.
And what's driving them is the consumerization of healthcare. And Teague was talking about this back in 2000, right?
Yeah.
So as I like to say, the chickens are finally coming home to roost, not only for consumerization of healthcare, but also for all these urgent care early entry docs, right? Because you're seeing it grow everywhere, and you're seeing Walgreens get involved, the CVS's get involved. They've been doing this for a while, but at the same time, you're seeing a lot of money being poured into it. Almost you could compare it to growth of maybe fast food to some degree. If you open up an urgent care center, the first thing you do is you look at the real estate, right? It's got to be accessible. You got to be able to get in. And you're not going to go in necessarily for every single element. It's going to be, I got a sore throat, I got maybe a broken arm. A lot of the centers have x-ray capabilities and so forth, but it is saving healthcare money, right? And that's what we really want to talk about.
We're taking them out of the ER, right?
Taking them out of the ER, right? If you go to the ER, I know I've made that mistake once with a child, and you get the bill, and you're like, okay, where else can I go? So now we have options, and urgent care is filling that needs. And you're seeing pediatric urgent care. You're seeing a lot of different orthopedic urgent care. You're seeing a lot of different, I guess you could say, flavors of urgent care starting to come up, and it's been around, but you're seeing it more and more visible because marketing and dollars are flowing into the market.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to my mother about her insurance that she currently has, and I had to read off how her coverage is on it from her card.
Right.
And her ER visit's $250.
Yeah.
And that's just where it starts. Yeah, you'll get a bill. So, I mean, you certainly see the need. And that was one of the biggest focuses in healthcare over the last 10 years is how do we get patients from just presenting at the ER.
Right.
Or the cost. You're talking about $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 bills, and someone's got to pay those bills. Either our country does from a taxpayer perspective, or right out for the hospital, or you as a patient, you as a consumer, or the insurance company, and insurance rates go up.
Yep.
All of our so it's a bad cycle. So there's really certainly a need in our market, in our industry, in our country for urgent care. So you mentioned $18 billion market.
$18 billion market, that's right.
So tell me about how has this come to fruition from a standpoint of, I mean, is it growing? Is it stabilizing off? What's that market?
No, it's continuing to grow, and you're going to see growth within the urgent care space for many years to come. One part of urgent care that you're going to start seeing is telemedicine, is basically urgent care, right? Consumerization of healthcare is going to equal on-demand healthcare, right? Where you use your phones, you use your iPads, you're able to access, you as a patient are able to access healthcare however you deem necessary. And so the nice thing is technology is finally caught up to where we can start delivering to meet those needs for the patient, right? And the providers are now able to basically look at how their business is operating and morph to ensure that they're providing these services that you're going to have, right? So it's growing, 6% growth over year over year, and I think 5% the past year. So you're going to continue to see major growth in 2018, projected between 6 and 10% of clinics being added across the country.
Wow. Yeah. And that's why I'm excited about this show, too, is because we want to educate people. And it's actually a market that I even, I got into in the last 4 or 5 months. I became board chair of a company called Hip Nation. And Hip Nation is actually all on-demand healthcare. It's however you want to see your doctor. It's, it's on Skype or your iPhone, FaceTime, however, texting or you can go in for a visit. It's, everything that's HIPAA compliant, to be honest. But any way that you want to access your doctor, you can.
Right.
And on-demand healthcare is that's the way of the future. So I love educating the market. I think this is a way that also a lot of us, our lives are instantaneous in so many ways. We sit on our phones. We're just instant gratification.
Yep.
And so you're going to see that, proliferate throughout the healthcare system. And so it's great that you're focused there. So talk about, what else is, instant gratification, reduction in cost, but what are the, reasons why this is growing or this market's so hot right now?
Goes back to convenience. I mean, that's the big ticket on this, and the ability again to have a easy entry point into the system where you're not having to go to your primary care provider, right? If you have a sore throat, you're able to go and get seen quickly. With technologies such as DocuTap's Clockwise MD. We're able to put yourself in a queue, schedule yourself ahead of time, so you're not having to wait in the waiting room. That's another example of on-demand healthcare. So what is driving it is really it's just consumerization and the ease of getting into the system at a cost point that is acceptable and that affordable.
Yeah, I actually came across. Is it Matt, right? The CEO?
Yeah. Matt, Chief Revenue Officer.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, of the acquisition of the company you just mentioned that you acquired here in Atlanta.
Oh, Clockwise.
Yeah. Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike, yeah.
I came across Mike a couple years ago. Phenomenal guy.
Great guy.
Yeah. Saw him at your company a couple months ago. And so talk a little bit about Clockwise, because I watched them grow, loved their model. I saw their fit. And Mike's just a great guy overall too. So, but talk a little bit about Clockwise.
So Clockwise was acquired by DocuTap May of I believe 17. So Mike Burke's the CEO.
Yeah.
He started it back in 2014, I believe. And what he has been able to do is make it where you can go online and basically schedule yourself ahead of time and get into the queue in the wait room, basically. And so because of this, it is created. Think of it as if you go to a restaurant, you can schedule reserve your seat ahead of time, right? Same kind of technology, same kind of concept. But what Mike has been able to do with Clockwise and DocuTap has continued those efforts is take it and expand it out to the urgent care space. And Mike found that as the primary space that was accepting of this because of the consumerization, driving. You wanted to get in and get out, and you're able to get yourself in the queue to be seen, right? And then you can walk in and you see yourself on the screen. Actually,
cool.
my haircut place has this now, right?
Yeah.
It should be Clockwise, but
Right.
it's not. So anyway, with that, Mike has done Mike and the team, I should say, the entire Clockwise team, now the DocuTap team, is almost in every major health system's footprint. Across the country. And you know how hard it is to sell health systems. Yeah. So these guys historically have done a good job, and we are continuing to expand on that with Clockwise as a entry point for the DocuTap basically platform, which is revenue cycle, EMR, practice management, and everything that comes with that.
And I want to dive into that. I was always impressed with what Mike had built and the team he had built and the awards they would win, year after year. Yeah. Here in Atlanta and around the country, and then also how they were able to access a lot of health systems. And that's what this show is about. I like to highlight innovations. I like to highlight people. I like to highlight executives, best practices. Yeah. And Mike and what the team had built kind of checked off a lot of those boxes. So I always had a special spot in my heart for what Clockwise had built and Mike Burke had built. So it's cool.
And one thing to note on that from a growth standpoint, from the business development aspect of that, Mike made it easy to buy.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Easy to do business with. In the early days, he saw that. And how many times do healthcare startups, any startup, miss that, right? And
most, 9 out of 10.
Yes, so
9.5 out of 10.
That's why we have all these major healthcare banners.
Yeah.
And when I came in, back when, I looked at the list of our customers and I was just like blown away, right? So, but the team, and we're continuing that effort, but we made it very easy to buy, and that's something for I think the listeners to note, right?
I'm going to take a second because I mean that is so key, and and just take a moment to think about that, and in your daily business, how easy do you make it for your customers or potential customers, prospects, to buy from you?
Right.
Take a moment and think, because you and I would we carpool to work a lot because we live in Atlanta. Greenway was out in Carrollton, and so you and I would try to be good stewards of our our environment and carpool. And our capital, but we would go. We always would talk about how can we make this better. We had these huge, thick contracts, and how can we streamline this down, or how can I make it easier? Just do business with Greenway, and we were always working to do that and make it better. And I don't think we ever achieved kind of what we wanted to get to. We still were successful, thankfully.
Sure. Yeah.
But that is such a key that most people just don't take a moment to go, what barriers can I bring down? How can I make it easier to buy from me? How can I make my website that much easier to navigate that maybe you don't have to talk to somebody to buy something?
Right.
That would be the holy grail. Automation, fully automate the process, 1, 2, 3 steps to become a customer of your business.
Right. Well said. Well said. It's a key ingredient that, and every business is different, and you have to figure out what that recipe is.
Yes.
But it's just, I think one thing that you have to make sure is that you, with a lot of these systems, you land and you can expand. Right. You got to get in, even within the ambulatory world too. Right. Get in, and then you can actually upsell or continue to partner with your clients, whoever they are, in different ways.
Yep. Very true. So those of joining us a little late today, my guest is Jared Lisenby, a healthcare executive and a longtime friend of mine, an executive also with Greenway, and now with an SVP at DocuTap. So talk a little bit about your role and a little bit about your role with DocuTap, and then also what are you excited about? How can they transform healthcare? What can they do for healthcare over the next 2, 3 years, 4 years?
Gotcha. So they're been transforming it for many years. And it's really by enabling these urgent care centers and on-demand healthcare to thrive through their technologies, right? And the base level technology for an urgent care center is the practice management aspect of it, charting, electronic health records, and being able to also have a great understanding of your revenue. And so we have revenue cycle services that we sell to. We have a fantastic team that's actually about 3 years in now that the company made an investment in for revenue cycle. And so we've been able to take that to the next level as well. So what I've been able to do is come in, and now DocuTap is not a new company.
Right. 18 years, you said? Or?
That's right. Eric McDonald started it in 2000, right? And he had this vision of on-demand healthcare.
And Eric's still the CEO, correct?
Oh, he's still the CEO.
Yeah. That's right.
And he had this vision of on-demand healthcare and urgent care. And when we were all going out trying to sell everything, he just said, I'm only doing urgent care. And I was talking to him.
That's great.
And he said, I had to turn away business, Jared. I had to turn away business. And that's hard. I'm not sure we could have done that.
Right.
We didn't at Greenway. So we got maybe too big. But he has kept his focus. And now, urgent care has evolved, and our technologies are really at the right place at the right time. So I have come in and I'm leading and working and partnering with the other team members on the business development standpoint, sales, marketing, and so forth. But really, we're starting the team. We've really started the sales and BD team almost over. We almost say totally. We've had a few people that have come in the last year, but we've done a lot of realignment and evolving of the team, and to get it to where we can take advantage of this market. And I love that. I love to build teams. I love to be right in the middle of that and surround myself with the people that can take it to the next level. And that's what we're doing today. And a lot of those team members are from the Acquired Clockwise team, who they're awesome. Sales and marketers, and they have a lot of experience there that they got from Mike. And then Eric's team in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
There you go.
I've been up there.
Oh, I know.
Minus 27 degrees. Shout out to all the Sioux Fallers. But that team, we're coming in, and we've merged both those companies together, and now we're taking it to the next level. So growing the sales, marketing, BD, looking at channels, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm as excited as I've been in a long time,
It's awesome. Well, I can tell, and you're a phenomenal asset. You were at Greenway, and I know you are to DocuTap. So congratulations on that and bringing them to the next level. So let's talk transition a little bit over to what does this mean for a patient? What you're bringing strategies. I know that strategies can certainly assist urgent care centers, make them more profitable, give them the products that they need, the solutions and the services. But what about the patient? What can this bring to the patient? Because I love the consumerism aspect, the on-demand healthcare aspect. Right. But let's talk a little about the patient.
So the patient is going to have a better experience just if you look at the urgent care centers from the real estate that's popping up, right? They're new centers, it's state-of-the-art. You walk in, most all these have coffee, water, I'm not going to say they give donuts. It's probably not the most healthy thing. But, you have this, when you walk in, you have this different kind of feel, and you get right back in your scene in most cases. Sometimes there's a line, flu season, right? So from the standpoint of just the patient experience, going in now and having, instead of it being this bland waiting room with a bunch of sick people, you can go in and have this great experience where it's a nice office that you're going into, as well as it's being run more like a business,
right?
Because in most cases, the urgent care center is being run as a business, right? And you're seeing them grow and franchise out, and they're getting really big regionally with brands and so forth, and so it's a different experience, and so the patient benefits because the business owners are thinking about it more like, how do we get more Justins in here? How do we get his whole family in here? How do we become the first stop when anybody has a problem, right? And there's a lot of competition in this space now because you see them all over the place, and as well as telemedicine and everything else that's also applying pressure from a competition standpoint. So they have to be really sharp and understand what the patient is looking for. So easy access through phone apps, that type of stuff. Partnering with telemedicine, you're going to start seeing a lot of urgent care centers deliver their own telemedicine.
Right,
that's really cool. Giving services such as X-ray and other things that you don't have to go to the emergency room for, and being able to just kind of be that one-stop place for you to go for your. For stuff that's not major.
Right.
If it's major, they'll send you down the street.
Sure. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you – first of all, I love the consumer aspect.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're bringing this to healthcare. We as patients deserve it. Right. We as consumers deserve it. And to walk in and not have to wait an hour for an appointment. We made the appointment a week in advance or even 4 days in advance or even a day in advance. And you still go in there and you wait 30 to 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. That's the old model of healthcare. Right. That still exists a lot in healthcare, but everywhere, not with your customers. I know that, and I love that. And to be honest, we even at Greenway, we had customers that did a pretty good job in this area and saw their patients as consumers more than just patients and took them for granted. So we both been played in a great space for a long time in that regard. But how does DocuTap and you beat your competition? So what are the three things if you walk into a new clinic? What do you or a prospect, quote unquote? Well, what do you say? Hey, this is why you go with us.
Number one, stability, right? Mm-hmm. We've been around 18 years.
Yeah, good point.
We have the market. Yeah. We have the understanding that the trust, the valued business partnership. Eric is well known. Yeah. So number one, we're known. Yeah. So when we walk in, the product is stable and it gets the job done, right? The second thing is our docs can chart very quickly. I know every HR company says that, but we can do that. Yeah, awesome. And the third part of that is we've rounded it out with our ability to, as you've seen with the Clockwise investment, right? Yeah. We're looking because we have great financial partners. We're able to grow the footprint of the business as well as our revenue cycle side. So we're offering the entire services. So when you're talking to us, we're able to come in and meet all of your needs and be a valued partner. And that's said a lot, but at the same time, we have the understanding and knowledge of the space to deliver it.
So what does 5 years down the road look like? I know that you're worrying about month that I get, you're month after month and quarter after quarter. But what is your space or the end goal, not just for DocuTap? I mean, it could be for DocuTap, but for where you see this market, because you guys are the leader in this market. But what do you see this market being in 5 years from now? Urgent care center, this consumerism aspect.
Continued growth, but a lot of consolidation, right? Because you got a lot of urgent care centers and companies popping up, so you're going to see a lot of consolidation. It's going to push technology in a lot of ways because they're going to have to keep up with it. And a lot of technologies are going to actually companies are going to form to actually want to be part of it. From a company standpoint, we're rolling to north of 200 plus million. We have big goals, as every company does, and we have the investment and the power, and now we're building out the teams to take us to that level. But there is only so many urgent care centers you can have, right? Probably Ray Kroc said that about McDonald's too, right? But there's one on every corner. So the nice thing about it is if you look at the footprint of where all these are located, there's still a lot of rural America that has not been touched, and they need this desperately. So desperately, right? So true. So there's a lot of care still coming there, and so there's a ton of growth to happen across the country. Love it.
So in the last couple minutes of my show, let's turn to you personally.
Okay.
You're a great guy. So I want to share with my guests. These are my last two questions I always love to ask of my guests. Where do you invest your time, talent, and treasure, and why?
Time, talent, treasure, and why? So when I'm not working,
45 seconds.
When I'm not working, I am in investing in my family.
Oh,
I have
cool.
a beautiful wife,
Yep.
and
Sherry.
Sherry, that's
Yep.
right. 2 wonderful boys and a daughter that is just the highlight of all our entire family, Charlotte.
Yeah.
The boys, we're keeping up with.
They're
them, man.
tornadoes.
Yeah,
They're what, 10 and 12?
Yeah, they're at camp in North Carolina right now, and they're having a big time. And actually, yesterday was Marshall's 12th birthday, so a lot of pride with that, as everybody does with their family. But I'm big in the Boy Scouts.
Cool.
So
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that, did you? Yeah,
Did not know
I
that.
know. I mean, it's
for
hard
you.
to believe, right?
Well, as an infantry soldier, I love the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
It makes great soldiers.
Yes,
So,
yeah, good. So the boys are in that, and I did Weeblos, and now we're transitioned over. Also, from a standpoint of just day to day, just it's work, it's family, and then I love my Auburn football. You know that. So,
Roll Tide.
My Auburn basketball now. Roll Tide.
Actually,
Auburn. Oh my gosh.
Auburn does have a good basketball team. Don't
Oh,
they?
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Auburn and Alabama are going at it also.
Last I heard, we won the SEC in basketball.
You might have heard that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know that we won
yeah.
the SEC in football. So
Yeah, so
actually, I don't think we did. I don't think Alabama did. I think didn't you guys beat us? And we won the national championship, but I think you guys beat us in the Iron Bowl, right?
We beat you down pretty good in November, but the Dogs got us the second.
You can
time
win the
around.
victory as long as we win the war.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
You can win the battle.
Yeah, we won the battle. Y'all won the war. But congratulations
Thank
to
you.
all the Bama's out there.
Thank you. But go Dogs too. I love
We had
Georgia.
a good year. Yeah, football's coming up, so we're excited. So I invested in that,
Yeah.
and then got to extend the family and so forth. So those are the kind of few things.
No, I know you run very hard to provide for your family, and then be a great dad at the same time with 3 children. So that's a lot. I have no children, so I know it's a lot.
You're Uncle Justin, man.
I know. Oh, I love being uncle. Believe me, it's the best job in the world. In the last 40 seconds or so, what is your favorite place to get or be inspired?
To be inspired. So, it comes by I'm inspired by watching my kids and my family. Right. This is one of the things that I do is I get inspired to listen to podcasts and listen to different people as I go to work. I get inspired running. I've taken up exercise. I do a lot of Orange Theory, which has been a game changer for me. But that's kind of where I kind of bring my mind back down, doing those kind of things, and kind of get myself back in the position where I can continue to be my best, right? And you have to do that daily when you're running as hard as we are. So,
You're right.
and then I'm very inspired. Last thing by just my wife and family and watching again everything that's evolving there. So.
Cool.
Thank you for the opportunity today, man.
Jared, thank you very much for being on my show, my friend. Great guest. I'm going to certainly have you back. A lot of great wisdom coming from you. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. And please tune in weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific to hear our latest shows. As always, you can track me on Twitter at HIT Advisor and use the hashtag ThisJustinRadio so we can respond to your comments from the show. If you missed any of this episode or want to hear more, all my shows are posted on Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Google Play, and tune in. And also you can check out the new website we launched at justinbarnes.com. Thanks, everyone. Have a terrific week.